Welcome. It's week 7. We are working through The Artist Way by Julia Cameron, and we are the Anti-Blocked Artist Club. I'm super excited to be doing this with you. I'm going to give us some more time so people can come on. I'm a few minutes after my scheduled time, so I want to give people the chance to hop on and get adjusted, and then we're going to jump into this week's theme, which is recovering a sense of connection. It's going to be such a good time. While I am letting people kind of come on, if you're already here, go ahead, grab your water. Make sure that you have a quiet space for you to tune in, to check in with yourself. And if you have anything you want to share from last week, please feel free to do that. And then we'll jump in. Okay? All right. Do like 2 more minutes and then we can jump in. I really should find my glasses, but I don't know where they are. So I don't know. May not be happening. I have my tea with me because I am currently on my cycle and I'm like, I need to take care of myself emotionally and mentally. And this tea helps me do that. Oh, so good. Hi, Melva. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi. I'm gonna grab some chocolate covered pretzels because if you know, when you're in your cycle, you need chocolate. You need it. And I'm honoring that truth because I'm like, this is who I am as a person. Hi, Sia. So I'm gonna grab some chocolate. I have my tea, and then we're gonna jump in. Thank y'all for being so patient with me. Hi, Jatnan. How are you? All right, I'll be back. Okay, so I have been. I don't know if you guys eat these, but obsessed, 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 obsessed. I'm obsessed with them. So I've been eating them. I usually get a craving for them around this time of the month, where I'm like, I cannot live without dark chocolate and sea salt. And with the pretzels, it's just like perfect. So I've been thoroughly enjoying that craving, that hyperfixation. Okay. And then I feel like we can begin. How's everybody feeling? How are you doing? How was last week for you? Week 6. How was that for you? Recovering a sense of abundance. What did that feel like? Did you notice any synchronicities? I know for me, I really felt like my Capricorn placements really popped out last week. And I found myself really locked in a way I haven't been in a while. Got a lot I was able to organize and remember that a lot of what I've been operating on hasn't been what my belief is. You know what I mean? I think there's like phases to evolving or growing out of like a bad habit. So for me, I had moved from like this poverty mindset of like, money doesn't grow on trees, you have to hustle, things like that. Then I moved to intellectually understanding that that's not always the case. And that in fact, you do have some level of influence in your creativity, your art, this energy can provide you a sense of abundance. And then going into really knowing that to be the truth, right? Where your circumstances can change in the blink of the eye. Like we're always in something that is miraculous, especially when it comes to your sense of abundance and just being open to the idea that there's ways that you can bring in your abundance changes that. But then you kind of get into a moment where on autopilot, you're back at that old way and you're not operating from that new way. I feel like last week was me integrating, I'm now on autopilot in that new understanding that I already understood. I hope that makes sense, but that's what I've been doing. Hey, Jack. Feeling good this week, better than last week. I love that. Yes, 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 yes. Last week I got super sick on top of that, which was always fun. But we've talked about this in the 28 days of gratitude, how when you're about to make a big change energetically, or you've really decided to do something that puts you completely out of the norm of what you would normally do, how your body can show up in sickness, right? Illness, injury, things like that, to kind of cause you to stay where you're at because it feels like you're safer there, where a lot of people start to self-sabotage. But once you're aware of that and you realize that, you know you have to move forward, but with a sense of discernment. So for me, last week I got a lupus flare, which makes sense, being that I had just adjusted something massive in my understanding around abundance. So me getting sick, it was like, okay, yeah, this adds up. So I knew I had to make sure that one, I was making sure physically I was taking care of myself, but also mentally, emotionally, and energetically, what does this mean for me? You getting sick right now means what? And how can we make sure that we mitigate the sickness, right? You feeling unwell, but also allow you to move forward because we know that these are intertwined, right? Are there some outside variables like it got super cold, things like that? Absolutely. But I also never want to negate the fact that I'm about to propel my life forward in a way that could feel unfamiliar or unsafe for my subconscious. And that means that means I'm gonna have to really show up with love, with care, not push myself through it, but simply guide myself through it. And I feel like I did an excellent job of that personally. I feel like this is probably the fastest turnaround from a flare up that I've had in a very, very long time, if ever. And my mindset was still like, okay, girl, you're not feeling too good to maybe go and co-work in person, but can you hop on FaceTime right now? Still get these things done while laying in your bed. You have your tea, like literally giving myself, like babying myself. And that is a theme that Julia has constantly talked about over the past several weeks of babying yourself, really nurturing yourself in moments of transition. And I feel like I completed that. So that's my recap of week 6. Yeah, super sick. Hi, Carla. How are you? Yep. Love that perspective. It means stuff. Yeah, it does. It does. Like to pretend that it doesn't is just like, okay, are you trying to grow or not? What are we doing here? Let me see. By the way, completely different outfit from Inside Timer. No, literally, I was working out and I'm like, okay, let me make sure I hop on Inside Timer because I want to make sure that y'all know what's going on over here. Then I just threw on some clothes. I'm like, okay, we're ready to go. So I'm going to start off. There's 3 essays this week. There's the listening essay. There's one on perfectionism. Oh, maybe there's 4. There's one on risk and there's one on jealousy. I feel like we can get through all the essays, if I'm being honest with you. Uh, I just feel like we can make this happen. And then we have our EFT session. It's going to be a good time. So let's get into it. Week 7, recovering a sense of connection. We turn this week to the practice of best attitudes for creativity. The emphasis is on your receptive as well as active skills. The essays, exercises, and tasks aim at excavating areas of genuine creative interest as you connect with your personal dreams. Okay, that's the overall goal. Listening. The ability to listen is a skill we are honing with both our morning pages and artist dates. The pages train us to hear our past censor. The artist dates help us to pick up the voice of inspiration. While both of these activities are apparently unconnected to the actual art and act of making art, they are critical to the creative process. Art is not about thinking something up. It is about the opposite, getting something down. The directions are important here. If we are trying to think something up, we are straining to reach for something that's just beyond our grasp, up there in the atmosphere where art lives on high. When we get something down, there is no strain. We're not doing, we're getting. Someone or something else is doing the doing. Instead of reaching for inventions, we are engaged in listening. So I have some notes here, but essentially what she's talking about is just the ability to listen. Like to put the go-getter side of you, like let them take a nap. What would happen if you just listened? It is so hard for us to just listen. It's like, oh, I heard something. Oh, let me act on it really quick. And it's sometimes the universe is, babe, I just take a breath with me. Let me just talk to you. The same way if you were engaging with another human being and having a conversation, in order for it to be of value to you both, you would need to take time to hear and process what that person is saying to you. Once you've heard and once you've processed, then you would show up and respond or support or take action. And we don't do that with human beings for the most part. A lot of us have really shitty listening skills. It's something that you have to intentionally develop. Like as a teacher, as a practitioner, I had to get really good at being able to listen so that I could help my students and my clients, right? Naturally, we want to just get our point across. We want you to hear us, but we don't want to hear you. And if we're going to work in tandem with spirit, with source, whoever it is, you have to get good at tuning in and listening, because it's in the listening that you get told what to do next. When people are always like, I don't know what to do next, like, where do I go with? I'm like, you probably aren't listening to source. If you don't know what your next step is, it's because you're so frantic, either in your energy or in what you're physically doing, that you don't hear the nudge telling you to go to the cafe today or to wear a certain perfume, because when you meet someone, that's going to be the thing that triggers them to speak to you. These are very subtle things that can change the entire trajectory of your life. But if you're not listening, you might dismiss them as frivolous or unnecessary, and then be creating another timeline for yourself. And that's something I've been working on better expressing, because it's not like you're delaying yourself. I don't really believe that you can get off track. I just believe that there's multiple ways to get to that endpoint. I'm really doing my best to listen so I can enjoy and experience the whimsy and the wonder of being in divine alignment. However, no matter what you do, you're kind of always there. Does that make sense? I don't want to confuse anybody. But I feel like sometimes we get wrapped up on this is not the timeline that I thought I was going to be on. So now I feel like I'm like 10 years behind. And really, how do you know that? And why would you assume that? Like if everything is working in your favor, right? If source is there to support you, the thing that created all things, why would it ever have you off track? Why would it ever really have you delayed? I just feel like sometimes we're in different timelines because we needed extra experience to better understand where we needed to go. And that experience may not have come through that way just yet. That's why you have it in hindsight. Let me know if that makes sense. Because that might be a little too like trippy, but it makes sense in my head. Like, okay, let's see. Straining versus open listening. Yes, that's what I said. That's what I get set down sick sometimes, by the way. I'm still laughing on you. No, sometimes we just are not good listeners. And it's okay to know that about yourself. Like if you know you're not a good listener, like that's half of the battle right there. Admitting that you're not and understanding that you aren't. Because then you can now take the appropriate steps necessary to become a better listener. It is totally possible. Okay, perfect. All right, great. So we understand. Cool. Okay. When an actor is in the moment, he or she is engaged in listening for the right next thing creatively. When a painter is painting, he or she, they, may begin with the plan, but that plan is soon surrendered to the painting's own plan. This is often expressed as the brush takes the next stroke. In dance, in composition, in sculpture, the experience is the same. We are more the conduit than the creator of what we express, right? I was like, so crazy. Art is an act of tuning in and dropping down the well. It is as though all the stories, paintings, music, performances in the world live just under the surface of our normal consciousness. Like an underground river, they flow through us as a stream of ideas that we can tap down into. As artists, we drop down the well into the stream. We hear what's down there and we act on it, more like taking dictation than anything fancy having to do with art. So what I put here in my notes is that this is simplicity and witnessing, allowing ourselves to not make it a complex experience with art or with the divine source, allowing it to be exactly what it is. I am able to see this as it is and not complicate it because I'm listening. I'm tuned in. You know, this is how we're able to experience the bigger picture when we are moving in our artistry, when we are allowing ourselves to really show up as artists. And there's something so relieving about being able to see the full picture and not get overwhelmed by it because I really trust in the divine, in source, that it's going to guide me, on what that next step is. So if, for instance, for me, I'm on this journey of allowing myself to be an author, right? And putting my debut book together and things like that. That feels massive, right? It's huge. It's like, oh my God, it's crazy. But because I'm listening, because I'm witnessing, this is what we want for me. Me as in my higher self, my inner child, my ego. This is also what God, my ancestors, they want. We all want this experience for me. This is what we're working towards. This is what we're moving forward in. This full vision. Cool. I can see that. I'm witnessing that. Now, the simplicity and me being able to get this done would be me to listen. Okay, what's next? As opposed to me being, how am I gonna do this and how am I gonna write 10,000 words a day? Like that's so frantic. And a lot of us operate from that space. And it's just when you start realizing it's like for what? You stressed out for what? Because now you have to recalibrate, readjust yourself because you're stressed out to get back to a space where you could actually create. It just kind of puts you in this experience of discomfort. That's not a requirement to be able to get to your end goal. It's a choice that a lot of us make via on autopilot, or because we've seen other people do that, we feel like, oh, we have to do it that way. An example I can give you is like when I wanted to do my podcast, it was so much more complicated than it is now. And honestly, maybe we do need that complication back to stop like podcast bros. Perhaps that might be what we needed all along. But 10 years ago to create a podcast, it was complicated. It was not an easy thing to do at all. Like it required so much. And as much as I wanted a space to tell my stories and my perspective, I knew I was getting overwhelmed. Like I kept being told, you need to have a podcast, podcast, podcast. I'm like, this is all cute and everything. However, I don't have the capacity or the desire to do all these nuanced things to get to that end road. I'm willing to take a pause and refine, work on my speaking, work on my writing. So when it is time for me to get to my podcast, I'll be ready. And then me doing that, right? Me witnessing the big goal and then me saying, okay, cool. Here's really what I want to experience. And then universe being like, okay, got you. Let's take that next step. I ended up working on my craft and then maybe like a year or two after I had put that desire out there, Anchor dropped. And Anchor was this revolutionary like app and platform where it was so easy to distribute your podcast and put the artwork together and all these things. So I'm like, oh, this is amazing. All I have to do now is put what I've been working on into this program and it will do everything else for me that I did not want to do. Do you see what I mean? Like sometimes you need the time and the space for universe to get things in order to make it easier for you to continue simplifying what you've witnessed. But to just jump into action because you're so excited or because you're super anxious is never going to benefit you. Yes, open channel instead of pushing, stressing. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, cool. A friend of mine is a superb film director who is known for his meticulous planning, and yet he often shoots most brilliantly from the seats of his pants, quickly grabbing a shot that comes to him as he works, right? These moments of clear inspiration require that we move into them on faith. We can practice these small leaps of faith daily in our pages and on our and on our artist dates. We can learn not only to listen, but also to hear with increasing accuracy that inspired, intuitive voice that says, do this, try this, say this. Most writers have had the experience of catching a poem or a paragraph or two of formed writing. We consider these finds to be small miracles. What we fail to realize is that they are, in fact, the norm. We are the instrument more than the author of our work. Like I said, this reframing is super liberating because if I'm the instrument, then source is utilizing me, right? And that's allowing me to push out or to bring to life this idea that already exists. So I don't have to worry about it being revolutionary. I don't have to worry about it being like the next best thing. I don't need to worry if it's on trend or not. I'm simply the instrument. So as long as I'm tuned as an instrument, I'm good. And that's such an incredible thing because now my responsibility is to make sure that I am tuned. So as an instrument, when you're thinking about, I think about me as a singer, like using my voice, practicing every day is super important. Making sure that I'm not straining my vocal cords or my vocal box, making sure that I'm drinking honey and I'm not eating things that can cause, you know, inflammation in my body, doing my breath work to expand my lung capacity so I can hold a note longer. Those are the things that keep my instrument together. So if there's a time and place where I get to sing, I'm ready to do that because I've been putting in these small um, amounts of effort daily, building it up. That's really my job. My job is not to figure out how to become Beyonce. No, right? My job as an instrument is to make sure the instrument is well tuned and ready to be used when it's time. That is so liberating to me as someone who's an overachiever, a perfectionist. It's just like, wow, I don't have to think about all these small little details that would literally drive me crazy or cause me to overexert my energy. I can just tune into these small things and have trust that universe, source, whoever I call on to is going to do the rest. Does that make sense? Hi, Rachel. We distribute the art rather than manufacture it. Yes, exactly. But think about how amazing that is. Like, that's just so much more easier for me personally to process. Like, I can get into that. Like, instead of stressing out about having the next amazing novel, I could just be like, oh, I'm just supposed to tell a story. This is the story I'm being told to tell y'all. I love telling a good story. I do that all the time. Like now it's fun. Now it's exciting. There's that play energy coming back in, right? That's where the art is going to really come from and allow me to show up as my most aligned self, which means that it's good for everyone that's experiencing it. Hi, I'm happy you're here. Yes. Okay. Perfect. We're on. Okay. Great. 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 Okay. So Michelangelo is said to have remarked that he released David from the marble block he found him in. When I teach screenwriting, I remind my students that their movie already exists in its entirety. Their job is to listen for it, watch it with their mind's eye, and write it down. The same may be said of all art. If painting and sculptures wait for us, then sonnets wait for us, books, plays, poems wait for us too. Our job is simply to get them down. To do that, we drop down into the well. Some people find it easier to picture the stream of inspiration as being like radio waves, which Jack just mentioned, of all sorts being broadcasted at all times. With practice, we learn to hear the desired frequency on request. So, two things here: all art waits for you, all art waits for me. Can you like take that deep breath of like, this is what I mean when I'm saying that whole uh, understanding of you gotta run, you gotta catch, you gotta chase it. That will always put your body in a state of stress. How are you supposed to get something done like that if you have to go, 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 go? But if you know it's waiting for you, because no, it doesn't want anybody else. Your book only wants you. Your song only wants you. Like, does that not excite? That excites me. It's like, oh, you're waiting for me? Okay. It puts you in a different energy. First off, it builds up your confidence because it's like, I'm that person. Clear. I literally am that person because it's waiting for me. It's waiting for me. That's number one. Number two, it helps to relax you a bit more in the body, in the mind, in the body, in the spirit of like, it's waiting for me. So I can take my time taking care of myself. I can take my time learning my craft. I can take my time getting to know people. There is no rush. It is waiting for me when I'm good and ready. And then we're going to lock in and we're going to have a beautiful experience together. In fact, if I don't do these things to take care of myself to better understand my art and my craft, we may never link up. That changes your entire like, that's when we talk about in energy healing the Taurus, how the energy can either go outwards in your aura or inwards. You want it to come in. All your desires to come to you. When you're doing the chasing, you're doing this. You're pushing things away from your center. But when you're relaxed and you're trusting in source and you know that the things that you desire, they're waiting for you, whoosh, all of a sudden they come rushing in. They're like, girl, we're just waiting for you to realize we was waiting for you. Now that you know, surprise, we're here. Like, I don't know. Something about that brings me so much peace as I'm building out these new aspects of my life. I love that. Okay. Let's see. Yes. Oh, you were under the weather too, Rachel? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yes, on time message. Glad everyone's felt me too. Which I'm not surprised because many of us have been journeying on this together. So that makes sense that at the halfway point, many of us were kind of like, I was expecting people to get some sign of discomfort, whether that be sickness or like emotional distress around like week 5 and 6. So it adds up. Universe, those in spirit, soul, body, sat me down. Yeah. All art waits for me. Not like mean boss or teacher. Yes, exactly. Yes. Taurus, not Taurus. Yeah, Taurus, like the aura, not the zodiac sign that I absolutely adore. Thank you so much. Okay, perfect. We agree, we understand. Let's continue. We tune into the frequency we want. Like a parent, we learn to hear the voice of our current brainchild among the other children's voices. So there's a concept that I created years ago called the creative chakra codes. And it's where I teach how you go through your 7 primary chakras to bring an idea from the divine down into reality. And I'm going to share the outline in the I'm gonna share a general outline in the free notes, and in the AP notes, I'm gonna go a little bit deeper because this is like an entire signature course that I have that really shows you how you can do this. So if you're someone who is multi um, talented or multi hyphenate in your different roles and you don't know which one to pursue or focus in on first, this method helps you realize what is actually ready to be seen by the world. Because a lot of times when you are tapped into that collective consciousness and you're receiving all these downloads, one, you think that they are all for you. Most times, not all the ideas you have are for you. Sometimes they're for like your friend or a random stranger. But if you're not listening, you don't know. You assume it's you and you put this pressure on yourself to get it done and it's just chaotic, right? Then there's also that idea that some of these ideas are for you, but for you at different places in your life at different times. They're going to require different relationships and different environments to manifest. The creative chakra code allows you to understand when and where that is energetically. So it's a smoother transition for you to bring your ideas to life. So I'll be sharing more of that in the notes. So be on the lookout for that because it's actually wonderful. I genuinely, now that I know how to do that, it's been incredible for me. Okay. Once you accept that this is natural to create, you can begin to accept a second idea that that the creator will hand you whatever you need for your project. The minute you are willing to accept the help of this collaborator, you will see useful bits of help everywhere in your life. Be alert. There's a second voice, a higher harmonic adding to and augmenting your inner creative voice. This voice frequently shows itself in synchronicity. You will hear the dialogue you need, find the right song for the sequence, see the exact paint color you almost had in mind, and so forth. You will have the experience of finding things, books, seminars, tossed out stuff that happen to fit with what you are doing. Learn to accept the possibility that the universe is helping you with what you are doing. Become willing to see the hand of God, source, whoever you call on to, and accept it as a friend's offer to help with what you are doing. Because many of us unconsciously harbor the fearful belief that God would find our creations frivolous or worse, we tend to discount the creator to creator help. Try to remember that God is the great artist and artists like other artists. Expect the universe to support your dream and it will. There's so much to unpack here. First off, that's one of my favorite beliefs, that artists like other artists. It does so much for me because I believe that to be true. I really enjoy other artists, no matter what their medium is, because they're operating in their zone of genius. And I enjoy people who operate in that zone of genius. It's just like, it really does feel like being around um, a channel of God. Seeing someone operate in their divinity is just like, it just provides so much for me that I deeply enjoy. So that I live by when I am stepping into my role as an artist, of like other artists like other artists. Real artists. Now people who are doing it for, a distorted sense of ego or validation, or just to say that they're doing it, they may not like you. Because they're not operating as true artists. They're not operating as true creatives. But people who are doing it because they deeply, profoundly want to bring this idea that is in their heart, on their mind, to life, and they see that you are doing the same, there's always going to be a level of respect and care and likability in that. And you want to be aware of that because you need that sense of safety to be able to show up and share and contribute. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Ugh, just hearing that again, I'm just like, when I read that earlier this week, I was just, yes, artists like other artists. And God is an artist. Clearly. I mean, Source be putting it down. Look at petals, flowers, snowflakes, things like that. Clearly he's an artist. And we like each other. I love that for us, right? Also, just understanding that the creator will hand you whatever you need for the project. This changes the trajectory of how you move yet again. It's no longer, I gotta go, I gotta hustle, I gotta go. If I'm not there, all of that is gone. So now all that energy that used to be used for frantic moving and planning and overanalyzing is now being channeled back into you to help sustain your inner world, which will allow you to bring that idea to life in the external. Imagine the time collapsing of the projects that you would have. You would be in such a state of excitement or thrill or joy or pleasure. It wouldn't feel so painstakingly long. There was a quote I just saw on Substack, and I forget who had just made it known to me because I do remember Toni Morrison saying this. But it was like, when you have writer's block, you're not supposed to push past it or find some new technique to continue writing. You know, you're supposed to stop and go do something. Go live life. You have not lived enough life to be able to finish this creative act, and leave it at that. And 9 times out of 10, once you put it down and you go do something to nurture your spirit, to nurture your soul, all of a sudden the idea comes flooding into you, right? Like we talked about those everyday miracles, and you're back on track. But if you're trying to push your way through a block, we talk about this with EFT, that the concept of block is not even real. It's more that there's a gap in your energy. There's a gap in your creativity. And the goal is to connect. So that way that gap is gone, you can continue going and flowing and do what you need to do. The only way you can connect, though, is by relaxing, focusing in on yourself, making sure that you feel good, because that feel good energy, that frequency puts you back in flow. And then all of a sudden, that gap is closing in on itself and you're back to doing what you want to do. You're back to creating, and your idea is even better and clearer than it was prior to. But if you try to force yourself and push through, what you're saying is, I don't believe that source, God, ancestors, whoever, that they have the ability to actually help me. I have to do this all on my own. Because if I'm not doing it right now, it's not getting done. That's a crazy concept. How do you know it's not getting done? Like, really, no, seriously, how do you know it's not getting done? Because you're not doing it? How are you breathing? How are your organs working? Are you intentionally saying, okay, breath, let's go? Okay, heartbeat, beat. No, you're not. So who is doing that? What entity, what spirit, what energy is controlling that? Sure, we can go the scientific route and say the body's being rewired, but still then, who is telling that to happen? Why are you thinking you're doing this all by yourself? You're not alone. Just because you're not doing it right now does not mean it's not getting done. Take a break, slow down, breathe. come back to yourself, recenter, and then move forward from that space. Let me know if that makes sense before we move forward. I'm gonna grab some water. I mean, some tea. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Triple C. Oh, I need that. Yes. I cannot wait to share. It's gonna be so good. Okay. Um. There we go. I've been leaning more into listening to spirit and sharing what I receive to who it's for, as well as the collective. Yeah. How's that experience been? More collaboration. I was just talking about this yesterday. I received a message about how sometimes we see what we see as self sabotage. It's just our body's natural rhythm saying to pause. Exactly. To pause and to recalibrate. So when I got sick this week, it was like, girl, first up, you're doing too much. You're doing way too much. Your body, we don't like this. And I feel like we've been trying to tell you we don't like this, but you ain't want to hear us. And that's fine. But now you hear us now. We don't want to do this. Actually, we want more Epsom salt baths. We want more candlelit. Like it was a call to slow down because I had gotten into overdrive. And I'm just like, okay, I have a clear action of what I need to do next. Let's get busy. And my body was like, girl, that don't gotta all happen today. Whoa, 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 whoa. Chill, chill, chill. Why don't you lay down? Why don't you watch a movie, miss? But because of that hard wiring of being an overachiever, of being a perfectionist, it's like I go on autopilot. That's where I'm going. It's going to like discipline mode, right? And last week was a integration process for me of like, girl, that is not what we're not doing. We're not going to do this all the time. We did that before and that worked in a certain season of your life, but you are nowhere near there anymore. So why would you ever think we would continue no, we're not doing that, girl. No, you're gonna lay your ass down, you're gonna rest. Everything is going to continue to move forward. And it did. I continued to still do my posts when needed. Things got everything I wanted to get done still was done. Nobody died, nothing was chaotic, nothing was lost, no money, nothing. Everything was fine. The only difference is that I was so much more well rested. I had to unfortunately have a flare in order for that to reconnect in my mind again of like, we are not going to push. That's done. That's over with. And I love that. Did I enjoy the experience of getting sick? Absolutely not. Hated that. But once I realized why it was happening and I adjusted, it was like I was so grateful. Like, oh, thank you for slowing me down. Because imagine I didn't get sick and I kept going on that path. It would have been a lot more intense for me later on. This I can handle. This I can manage. This also keeps me on track. And that's what you'll realize too. Once you're able to witness what you consider self-sabotage as redirection, you realize you're still on track. You realize like, oh, actually, I'm still good. I'm still gonna hit these goals. If anything, I'm going to feel even more relaxed and energized as I do so. Right? Let's see. Hi, Sierra. Yes, the experience has been terrifying because it requires a lot of listening and doing, and I'm an overthinker. Yep. Mhm. 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 Yeah, that overthinking, baby. Sometimes like this feel like a lot. Do I gotta think this hard about this? And most times, like, no, girl, you don't. We actually don't know why you're doing that. My spirit team, when we talk, they're very much like, girl, no. Like they're very sassy. So as you hear me talking, your source might be a little bit more. I'm a little hard headed. So I need a little bit of sass in order for me to really understand what's going. That's how I know it's done. Where it's like, girl, what? Okay, yeah, sure. Do you want to do that? Okay, yeah, try it out. Oh no, it didn't work. Ah, like that's my spirit team with me. And I'm like, no, guys, it didn't work. I'm like, what? That's crazy. Let's try something else. Oh, the thing we just said to do that. I'm hard headed. So that's how it works for me when I'm doing the conversation. Just so you guys know. I don't want you to think that like Source is just a sassy person. They're sassy with me because that's what I need. But yeah, it's so important because when we're overthinking, we're adding all these extra elements and stuff to this thing, to this experience. Like, oh, this needs to be this. And it's clogging us up. Like we're energetically and mentally becoming constipated because it's way too much information. for something super simple if we just allowed it to be. So I feel you on that. My Libra scales um wants everyone to be okay. I also pulled my natal chart, and it makes so much more sense now too. I'm so glad you told me. No, seriously. And then also too, when you're doing your birth chart, are you a sun chart or a moon chart? I'm a moon chart. So like the moon really influences me uh and how I show up. It's in like my entire personality. And if you know with like a moon chart, a moon rule chart, you can see it. You can see that I was born at night. It's very clear. Excuse me. In my aesthetic that like, yeah, this is my energy. And knowing that is so helpful. Knowing like how you communicate is so helpful. Knowing that like my Mercury is in Scorpio. So yeah, I'm going to say things that feel a little bit more heavier. I'm not afraid to go there or speak on taboo or tackle difficult conversations or topics with a level of vulnerability that most people wouldn't be able to do. It's just in my nature to do that because of that. Knowing your chart is so freaking helpful, especially as an artist. Like I will always stand by that. I think it has revolutionized how I show up and get things done. That and in my human design chart. Like those two things really influence how I live my life. So I love that you've been doing that. Libra's all over my chart. Yeah. So you're like super intellectual, but you also have to have beauty. So if you find that you're overthinking, you probably aren't experiencing a lot of beauty because beauty causes you to be present. You're not overthinking when you're witnessing beauty. You're just there. You're present. You're taking it in. You're letting it, transform you. So you have to make sure that those scales are in harmony that way, that intellect and that beauty. Are you getting enough pleasure? Are you getting enough play? Are you getting enough art in your life? Because you need those in order to ensure that you won't be overthinking or overanalyzing. Because it'll be very easy for you to do that. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, cool. Great. Okay, perfect. Expect the universe to support your dream. It will. Again, think it to be. Everything's working in your favor all the time. And I know that that sounds like spiritual bypassing, and some people it possibly could be. But I really believe that to be true. And that has saved me so many times, trusting that my ancestors in particular would never place me in harm's way, would never help me receive this idea from source and not be able to bring it to life. It just allows me to rest. It allows me to drop my shoulders in a way that I really hope other people will get to experience. That knowing of this is going to get done when it gets done, and when it gets done, it will be beautiful. I'm not expecting it to fail. I'm not expecting it to be incomplete because it is already done. I just get to present it in a way that feels best for me. I want us all to be able to lean into that knowing when we're moving forward in our artistry. Okay. Yes, exactly. Letting go of that control. There we go. I'm not. You sound like my therapist. As a practitioner, I get that a lot. But yeah, that tends to be what Libras struggle with. When they're not getting enough beauty, they're overthinking everything. It's just like, girl, it's okay. Let's go to the museum. Let's go paint. Let's go paint something. Like, please. Venusian ruled people need art. They need love making. They need that passion, that sensuality. You need a very sensual life to be the foundation of who you are. You need that badly. Like Venusian rule people, you need the fragrance, the texture, you need all of that. It's the only way it's gonna offset you overstimulating your mind and overthinking everything. You have like a built-in we all have built-in programming. Once you understand what the on or off buttons are, it's really, really simple for you, right? So like as a Scorpio, for me, I have Scorpio everywhere in my chart outside of Capricorn. So it's like I need structure, number one. Otherwise, I'm a complete and total mess. I need structure. I also need to feel safe enough to go deep. to really be as deep and as dark as I need to be to excavate whatever the information is that's there for me to express. If I don't get that, I am pure and utter chaos. It's not great. I haven't seen that side in a long time because I've been in a lot of safe spaces, but like it can get crazy and we don't want that. Okay. Yes, correct. All right. So that was the first essay. Let's get into the second essay on perfectionism because I thought this was really, really good. Yeah, it's a pretty short essay. All right. You may call it something else. This is about perfectionism. Getting it right, you may call it fixing it before I go any further. You may call it having standards. What you should be calling it is perfectionism. Perfectionism has nothing to do with getting it right. It has nothing to do with fixing things. It has nothing to do with standards. Perfectionism is a refusal to let yourself move ahead. It is a loop, an obsessive, debilitating, closed system that causes you to get stuck in the details of what you are writing or painting or making and to lose sight of the whole. So she comes out swinging on this, and I agree. Um, Instead of creating freely and allowing errors to reveal themselves later as insights, that's a word right there. Allowing errors to reveal themselves later as insights. I feel like that's just something to live by because we're so obsessed with trying not to make mistakes. And sometimes the mistakes are necessary so that we can learn and grow, right? We often get mirrored in getting the details right. We correct our originality into a uniformity that lacks passion and spontaneity. Do not fear mistakes. There are none. The perfectionist fixes one line of poem over and over until no lines are right. The perfectionist redraws the chin line on a portrait until the paper tears. The perfectionist writes so many versions of scene one that she never gets to the rest of the play. The perfectionist writes, paints, creates with one eye on her audience. Instead of enjoying the process, the perfectionist is constantly grading the results. The perfectionist has married the logic side of the brain. The critic reigns supreme in the perfectionist's creative household. A brilliant descriptive prose passage is critiqued with a white glove approach. What about this is blank? How is this spelled? Blank. For the perfectionist, there are no first drafts, no rough sketches, no warm up exercises. Every draft is meant to be final, perfect, and set in stone. Midway through a project, the perfectionist decides to read it all over, outline it, see where it's going. And where is it going? Nowhere. Very fast. The perfectionist is never satisfied. The perfectionist never says, "This is pretty good. I think I'll just keep going." The perfectionist, to the perfectionist, there's always room for improvement. The perfectionist calls this humility. In reality, it is egotism. It is pride that makes us want to write a perfect script, paint a perfect painting, perform a perfect audition monologue. Perfectionism is not a quest for the best. It is a pursuit of the worst in ourselves, the part that tells us that nothing we do will ever be good enough, that we should try again. No, we should not. We're gonna come back to this in a second. A painting is never finished. It simply stops in an interesting place. A book is never finished, but at a certain point you stop writing it and go on to the next thing. A film is never cut perfectly, but at a certain point you let it go and call it done. That is a normal part of creativity, the letting go. Okay? So there are some things here that I want to touch on before we move into the third essay. First off, this idea that the perfectionist fixes one line of poem over and over again until no lines are right. So there's this concept called wabi sabi in Japanese culture, and it's the beauty in imperfection and impermanence and incompleteness. And I love it. I love it so much I got a tattoo because it really helped me to heal the inner perfectionist that I was struggling with, right? And what I wrote here is that there's beauty in not ever getting it right. And the dynamic or and that love not being permanent forever. The fact that you may never complete your art, that makes each experience more precious and more vulnerable, right? This allows us to be more tender as artists when we are moving from that understanding. That rigidness is gone. It's like, "Oh, this might never be done, so let me give it what I have. Let me pour my heart into this." This is how we're able to refocus on us expressing our idea out into the world instead of being focused on how other people are going to receive it or if we're gonna get enough likes or views or subscriptions. We This is how you get out of that capitalistic framework when it comes to your creativity, is by being okay with it not getting finished to your standard, whatever standard that might be. Really seeing the beauty in that. It's a bit of, a mind warp of like, "Wait, why would I find that beauty? Like, that's not beautiful. That would Where's the beauty in that?" And I think the beauty in that is the humanity of it, because you really don't know how long you're gonna be here for. It's not to be morbid, it's to be honest, But when you know that each day you're showing up and you are living with the fullness of your heart, you're sharing all of yourself, all your creativity in spaces that really welcome it and cherish it and honor it, you don't really care if tomorrow's your last day because you're really living in the moment now and you're living it amongst people and environments and beliefs that make you feel so seen, that show you the wonder and the magic in life. That is all that there is to focus in on. That is beautiful. And it may not click for you right now. It may take time for that to sit. You might need a life experience for that to connect. But as someone who has definitely had a few brushes with death, yeah, the things that I get to experience now, I'm just like, wow, I truly am always fascinated that I am a living, breathing thing and that I get to do something in this moment and that I can be at peace with the fact that that might never be completed. And that's okay, because what I do have and what I do present and what I will give will be of all of my heart and my creativity. And I trust and know that source is going to provide that bit of what I gave to whoever or whatever needs it. And they'll continue that on. It's my contribution to humanity. I don't think I'm always supposed to see the end results of it. I don't think I would want to, not in this capacity at least. So, yeah, let's see if that makes sense before we move forward. I see us writing down some really cool things. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Yes. Missing forest for trees, exactly. Yes, yes, yes. Sierra. Yep, sounds like you're describing me, a perfectionist. Perfectionism is definitely a form of sabotage, working to break the cycle. And you will, Sierra. What page is that? Oh, we are 120. Yeah, it's a really good page. Like, if you really see my page, like, this page brought out a lot in me, okay? Yes, Wabi Sabi, I thought that is, what is that called? I don't know, but Wabi Sabi is understanding the beauty in imperfection and incompleteness. That I do know. But I don't know, what is that thing called that goes on? Wasabi. That's wasabi, not wabi sabi. I knew it. Okay, there we go. Yes. Rachel, you have been doing great putting stuff out, even reading it yourself. Yes. And also stating truths that are not widely accepted. Yep. And we don't own the art. It's for the collective. Exactly. Not to be judged, to be available. We are designed to create. That's just what I heard. I love that. I'm gonna read that one more time. And we don't own the art. It is for the collective. Not to be judged, to be available. We are designed to create. That's what I just heard. Yep. And that goes back to that understanding of being the conduit and not the creator, right? And I feel like it's like a layer because we were just talking about being co-creators and now we're saying, okay, we're not co-creators, we're conduits. It's like there's layers to it, but you got to understand one thing to be able to understand this. And how Rachel framed this is really beautiful because being the conduit is like, it's just coming through me. I don't own it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just coming through me and it's going to have a little bit of my essence and who I am woven into it. And then someone else is going to be able to use that information or that art and continue it on, move it forward, and things like that. And it's going to be this legacy. Like, I don't know, something about that just feels very tender and very beautiful. Yes, we work for universe and those in spirit. Everybody needs what we receive. Yes, wasabi. Yeah. Okay. Was there anything else I want to share here? So something I put here, the perfectionist is never satisfied, right? And I said it's because the art that they're creating is dead. And death isn't satisfying when the art was meant to be alive. So when you are constantly repairing and rewriting and going over and it has to be this, you are killing the creative process. You are taking the life from the experience. That's never gonna be satisfying. You're going to always need more because you're taking so much that doesn't even need to be taken. That's a lot to take in. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, okay, I don't want that for myself. I want to continue to kill my creative process because I'm trying to force it to be something that I think with my outdated mind, right? That it should be. When in fact, source spirit, whoever I call on to, has a bigger idea for me. And if I just chill out for a little bit, I get to see what that is. Okay. Yes, we are beautiful pens and brushes with our flavor and nuance. Exactly. Let's get into the third essay, which is on risk. I think this was a really good one too. Question: what would I do if I didn't have to do it perfectly? Answer: a great deal more than I am. Oh, okay. You okay? Okay. We've all heard that the unexamined life is not worth living, but consider too that the unlived life is not worth examining. The success of a creative recovery hinges on our ability to move out of the head and into action. This brings us squarely to risk. Most of us are practiced at talking about ourselves or talking ourselves out of risk. We are skilled speculators on the probable pain of self exposure. I look like an idiot, we say, conjuring images of our first acting class, our first hobbled short story, our terrible drawings. Part of the game here is lining up the masters and measuring our baby steps against this perfect craft. We don't compare our student films to George Lucas's student films. Instead, we compare them to Star Wars. And I wanted to pause here because as a teacher, as an art teacher, I was teaching for a summer in the Hamptons at this really prestigious summer camp. And for art, we would do these things, and the kids would want it to exactly be like I made it. And I'm like y'all are like 6 and 7, 8 years old. Why would you think? And why would you assume it would be like this is my profession. Like, I've had to spend time and energy practicing to make it this way so I can teach it to you. I just want you to see what it looks like for you. And when I say even as children, they had such a hard time processing that, getting frustrated, beating themselves up of like, why can't I do it like you? And that comparison starts really, really, really young. It's so young that it really does break my heart. I work on this with my niece and she's 8. We're having to remind her, like, girl, you literally just started walking like 6 years ago. Like, this is amazing. This is great. This is great as it is. And it will get better as you live more life and have more practice and more experience. But to put this type of pressure on yourself right now is crazy. If you're going to compare, I don't necessarily suggest it, but if you are going to, make sure that it's in like a peer comparison. Like she said, you want to do films, so look at George Lucas's student films. If you need that. I don't feel like you need that personally. I feel like that's a lot. But let's say you need that. That's where we're going. But you're trying to do or like, you're trying to do what like they did with Sinners. Like, what? What? Fruital Station was amazing as it was, but it's not Sinners. You can see the growth and progression in how Ryan Coogler ascended as a storyteller, as a director, as a producer. You can see the growth. But if we're starting from Sinners, yeah, like what? How, how are you gonna get this done? Because for me, you're just psyching yourself out because you don't have the resources, whether that be the budget, the professionals that he called. There's so much more going there. You're looking at that end product being like, why can't I do this end thing? It's just like, there's so much more to this end goal. Now, what you really could be focusing in on is how do I invoke that sense, that feeling that I received from this art? That is doable, no matter what your budget is, no matter what your resources are. Like, you can do that. I can invoke this sense of thrill or the sense of excitement that I felt when I looked at this, the way it opened my mind up. How can I share that feeling with others? That to me is a healthier mindset as an artist than comparing yourself to the greats or comparing yourself to your peer. I don't believe in comparison. I don't, again, the compete and the compare buttons in my brain, they have always malfunctioned. They have never been on. I don't understand that. I cannot I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me because we are different people. We have different life experiences. We have different traumas. We have different skill sets. We have different focus points. How would it ever be the same? Even twins, like, it's just not possible, you know? And when you can really comprehend that, you can move it to the side and it's more about how can I share this experience or this feeling that this art is giving me or that this idea is giving me. And you're focusing on the sharing the story, sharing the art aspect. That allows you to show up more centered. And honestly, it's a little bit more realistic. For those that feel like artists are very delusional and whimsical and woo woo, like that is actually very realistic. You can help figure out how to share the idea of the feeling. That is doable. But trying to create Sinners or Star Wars or whatever your favorite end goal in your medium is off the bat is just unnecessary. Like, please do something else better with your time and energy. Okay? Here we go. Perfection turns inspiration into a production line. Yes. Star Wars was the reference I was thinking when you were reading about a movie not being done just for now. I know the writer knew Lucas. Oh, I know the writer knew Lucas. I love the fact that she knew these big names in their development stage. Yeah. Create first, then compare to yourself if you need to. Right. If you need to. Because sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't, you know? Yes, yes, yes. James Cameron, right, exactly. Right. It's like, are we all fruits? Yes. We're all fruits. But like some of us are apples, some of us are oranges, some of us are pomegranates, some of us are dragon fruit, some of us bananas, grapes. Are we all fruits? Yes. Are we all creatives? Duh. Obvi. Yes. But how we express that creativity is unique to each and every one of us. We should keep that in mind. Hi, Simone. Okay. Here we go. We deny that in order to do something well, we must first be willing to do it badly. Instead, we opt for setting our limits at the point where we feel assured success. Living within these bounds, we may feel stifled, smothered, despairing, and bored. But yes, we do feel safe, and safety is a very expensive illusion. So here's where we disagree. Me and Julia don't always see eye to eye, and that's okay. That I think that that's important, right? We don't I don't believe that safety is a very expensive illusion. I think stagnancy is. And I share that. I said I don't agree. I feel like we need to be clear on what safety can provide and how we realize then that we're truly settling for stagnancy. Because safety has this ability to allow us to expand. When I feel safe, I want to be more vulnerable. whether that means like trying another dance move again that I wasn't like sure of. If I feel safe in my environment, that I'm not going to be judged or harmed or whatever the case is, I'm able to really let myself be free and to expand. That is a necessity. You do need to feel safe. I don't agree with it being an illusion, but that stagnancy of you thinking that I have to stop here because perfectionism told me this is as good as it's going to get. And if I try to do anything a little bit more wilder or out of the norm, I'm going to fail epically and never recover from it. That is an illusion because what does that even mean? How do you know that? How do you know that it can't get better? Like, where's the data on that? Who told you that? This is where you have to start asking these questions and being more inquisitive about yourself. Like, why do I think that if I take this next risk or I do this thing, it's going to be terrible? We need to start unpacking that. But feeling safe provides you with the ability to be vulnerable enough to take a risk. Because I know what safety feels like. I know that I have the ability to feel safe. So I'm going to take this risk and I'm okay with the fact that the outcome is uncertain. Because no matter what the outcome is, I know what it's like to feel safe and I know I can get back to that space again. I can get back to that sense of feeling safe, of feeling centered, of feeling clear in my mind and my body. Because I've done it before, so I can do it again. It's that understanding of like when people are afraid to start over, what I love to tell people, especially like my students or my clients, when they're in a state of transformation, because this is just like a Scorpio thing, you're starting over in a sense, but like you're not starting over from scratch. You're starting over with more life experience, with more skills and resources, with better dynamics, healthier relationships to yourself, to source, to others. You're starting over from there. So you're not starting over from the same way you were in the beginning. This is not possible because you continue to live life. And when you understand that and it resonates with you, you're able to then look at uncertainty like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Because I really am not I'm not starting from zero. I'm starting with way more confidence or courage or clarity than I had before. And that can carry me along with the fact that I now understand that if I'm sharing what I want, God will begin providing me the tools, the resources, the relationships to do that. The risk becomes exciting. It's less of a, am I going to fail? And more like a, oh, wait, well, when can I take? I'm ready to jump. Let's do it. We want to continue to reprogram and change our mindset around that. So again, I don't agree with her. However, if you choose to agree with that, understanding that safety is an illusion, that is an expensive illusion, whatever's going to get you to start taking healthy risk, I'm fine for that. I just want to make sure that I made that clear because safety allows me to take risks. I would never do it if I didn't feel some sense of safety in my life, whether that's like being emotionally safe or mentally safe or physically safe. Safety has to be a part of that equation some way, somehow, in order for me to move forward. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. Okay. Let me see what you guys are saying. Point of disagreement. Yes, yes. Because I'm like, girl, I don't agree. But I think for some people that would be a real valid thing. It's just not for me. Okay, I was just talking with a friend about this. We don't judge each other and it opens up so much. Exactly. Yes. And you need it though. You need that. You need to be able to say, first off, life is crazy and we do crazy things. I was just telling my one of my girlfriends, I'm like, girl, I'm talking about my life. And when I was younger, I was very chaotic. I was very chaotic. And I'm telling her, and in my mind later on, I was like, oh wow, that really could have went a completely different way. And she was completely like, girl, that's crazy. It wasn't like, oh, I'm judging you, you're a terrible person. It's like, girl, yeah, like we do weird things as human beings and we grow out of it, we learn from it, we move forward. Such is life. And it was so refreshing to be able to witness that when I was thinking about the notes for today of like, oh wow, here was a moment where I could have been critiqued or judged, and instead I just was held and cared for, and it just made for a good story. Like it didn't weather on my ability to move forward or to um question who I am now because of what I've been through. It's just like that was a part of my journey and my story. Some people could hear certain parts of your life and be like what? Oh, like we can never be. And that's fine because it's better to get that out the way earlier on anyway. You know what I'm saying? But there are going to be people and spaces that are just kind of like, yeah, that happens. That's life. But I got you. Like, I still love you. I still care about you. That's not going to change how I feel about you. Like, are you okay? Do you need me to hold space for you? You're looking for those spaces. You're looking for those people, especially when it comes to you expressing your creativity. Okay. Hi, Carla. Okay, let's see. Do you feel that sometimes safety is found in the doing? Hmm. Because you at least have a hand in it, even without knowing the outcome. Do I feel like safety is found in the doing? I really want to sit with it because I feel like for me, the safety comes before the doing. For me, I need to feel safe first in order for me to take the action. So, an example that I can give is if I receive a divine nudge to go and do something, I need to feel safe first, safe in my relationship with myself to know and discern that this is a spiritual nudge, right? Safe in my relationship to God to know that this is God actually saying, hey, let's get this done or have this experience. Um, and then safe in knowing that what I'm doing, I can get through. Sometimes I can survive or sometimes I can thrive in. It really does depend on what it is. Like I'm trying to think of, okay, so if I'm learning how to swim, I would have to feel safe in knowing that I can survive it. Like survive the possibility of drowning or feel like I'm drowning, right? And that would mean like, okay, if I'm practicing swimming, it's not by myself. It's probably with a trained professional, in a controlled environment. That would allow me to take more of the risk. The doing part, I think, is always gonna be scary and uncertain, but, like, prior to making sure that there are some aspects, not every aspect is gonna feel safe, unfortunately. Sometimes you have a really nice foundation, but other times it's like 2 out of 3, you know what I mean? It's like if mentally, I'm like, "Okay, girl, you're about to learn how to swim, you can do this, I believe in you," and emotionally, I'm like, "Okay, I'm a little nervous, but overall I'm excited and I can do my deep breaths to get myself back feeling centered. But if my body's freaking out like, you want me to jump in a pool of water? What? I'll still move forward. It's just like, okay, girl, yeah, like I do. Like that's the doing part where I'm like, what? But I will do it because 2 out of 3 are good. I can still feel centered. I guess for me, it's like I have the safety so I don't get lost in the journey. It's nice for me to know that there's something there that's keeping me centered, at least until I get to that next step or that next plateau. And then I may have to redefine the sense of safety all over again. But I am personally willing to do that because I've seen the benefits of doing that. Sometimes what I need to feel safe in one season is not a requirement in the next season. I'm hoping that I'm answering that question. That's like a really good question. Yeah. Came a bit late, so listening today. It's okay. Had to chime in on the safety part. What is safety? But knowing that you are fully resourced for survival. Yes. It's actually hardwired into our brains. So it's not an illusion on a fundamental mammalian level. Yeah. I agree with you. That's why when she was like, I'm like, I don't know if I agree with the whole safety being an illusion thing. I feel like it was being said for dramatic effect. But I feel like as a human being, you should feel some sense of safety no matter, like, what you're doing. 'Cause I mean, think, like, let's say you wanna go bungee jumping. There's a level of safety in knowing that, like, you're with professionals or, like, a level of knowing that the bungee cord will, stand true throughout the experience. Otherwise, like, why would you do it if you didn't think you were going to survive it, you know? I don't know. That might be something for us to continue to unpack. Because I feel like when she's talking about creativity and doing your artistry, it's like you may not survive it. And I just feel like maybe that's a bit dramatic. Maybe I just haven't experienced that type of art yet where I'm like, "I'm not gonna survive this." I haven't felt that yet. I wonder if we can conflate feeling safe with proficiency. Can we do that? Maybe. I feel like they intertwine. If I'm using the example of swimming, which is just coming to my mind, I don't know why, y'all, but I feel like it's a good visual. If I feel like I can be proficient in surviving the idea of or the experience of drowning, would I still do it? Yeah. I guess they do intertwine. I think that they're connected because I would have to feel like I can get through it, which would require me to have some level of skill set or resource that allows me to feel certain in that. This is a very risk is so interesting because a lot of times risks are just like they can be really well calculated, where it's not really a risk. It just feels like one, but really it's a natural progression of where you were going to go in your artistry. I don't know. I'm going to say yes. But please, everyone chime in if you feel something different. I would love to hear it. Yeah. Yes. Where does it say? Not as dangerous socially when proficient. Yes, yes, yes. I think faith comes in doing. Safety is not the same as faith. Ooh, explain a little bit more of that. Safety is not the same as faith. Safety. When I think of safety, I think of it as something that is foundational, tangible, like something I can really, really it just feels very weighted. I feel safety. I really resonate with the root chakra, like this area, right? Like just feeling really, really safe, feels rooted and centered. And then faith is more of a belief I'm willing to accept. I think I do need to feel safe to have faith, which would mean that they would be separate things. I don't know if I need to have faith to feel safe. Maybe. I think this really depends on what action you're taking because both make sense. So like they're separate, but they're like sisters. Like my mind is really processing this with you, okay? Because I'm just like, yeah, like this makes sense to me. So if I wanted to, like, I'm writing a book, so I'm putting it in context here. I want to feel safe enough to write my book, and then having that sense of faith to complete the book. This is very interesting. It's something I have to like continue to sit with. Yes, that's part of it, Carla. Okay. I think Sorry, guys. Here we go. I think even with proficiency, the illusion is that we continue to refer to our past experiences because that's what the brain is designed to do. Right. And in you doing that, referring to your past experiences, you're not really referring to anything because our past is what we've decided it to be. Like there are so many studies on that. And I will let me look and let me write that down. Because there's a really good study on this. A study on how the brain re rewrites the past. So a lot of times what we think happened, that's why when people are talking about the same situation and like there's like different parts of the story that they highlight is because the past is up for interpretation. Like it's up for interpretation. You could be watching this video right now and your main focus might be this plant and not what I'm saying. And then when you're retelling what you've witnessed, it's a completely different point of view. It doesn't mean that this isn't happening, just this is where your focus point was. And every human being is different like that. So when you're processing things from the past, you're not processing the thing itself in its entirety. There was like there was a conversation around like two siblings who had experienced their father in different ways. In one way, the sibling felt really empowered even though like their father was like a very abusive person, right? They weren't like a great dad. And one felt empowered to take self agency to ensure that they wouldn't go down the same path as their father. And then the other sibling, essentially by default, because of the sense of fear that they had, chose the same life path. And it's like, well, how did we do that if we had that same experience? And the truth is, like, it was up for interpretation. Your brain decided and um, focused in on certain things that it could process and understand, and that made sense to how it identifies and views the world. And then that other person did the exact same thing. It doesn't mean that it's going to filter out in a way that mirrors each other perfectly. There is going to be some nuance. And when you understand that, that does change the entire dynamic of like, well, how are my past experiences and traumas really shaping and redefining me? And this is a conversation that has been going on. It gets a little heated in energy psychology, especially around like trauma informed care and practices of like, can trauma be transmuted? Can it be alchemized? Right? If the past is not actually real anymore and up for interpretation, can you rewrite the story to benefit you so you can move forward? Some people feel there's a morality issue there, but other people are like, if the past doesn't exist, then why are we talking about morality? We're talking about how this person can continue to live and move forward, and this is debilitating them. So if we can rewrite the story so it's no longer debilitating, why would it matter? So it gets very layered. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Rachel, mine always backward facing, so anything new or different inherently is unsafe. Yeah. Yeah. I love your thinking process, Carla. I agree. Swimming is coming to mind because I took swim lessons and did great in a pool. Then when I went out to the beach, I almost drowned, and now I'm fearful to even try again. And that makes sense, right? Because the swimming lessons, you were with a professional that was right there with you, and you were in a controlled environment, which was, I'm assuming, like a pool of some sort. But then when you're in the ocean, when you're in the wild, right? When you're amongst everyone else, it's like, okay, yeah, I am taking in all of this now. And the practice may go out the window. It may not have gone into muscle memory yet. So it makes sense that that would be an overwhelming experience because you're not in this controlled environment and the professional is not right there. There's probably a lifeguard somewhere nearby, right? But they don't know that you're about to go for a swim and that you're like a new swimmer. You know what I'm saying? Like all these different variables come into play and can affect how you feel safe and what ends up traumatizing you. Thanks much for yours too. You got me going. This the place. Rachel, yes, Carla has a great bottom line. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Carla really asks questions that just make you want to stretch it out a bit more and figure out why you feel this way. Yes. Mine always fighting the last war. Yep, yep. You know what, Lotus? I was just saying that to my husband yesterday. We were watching the Lost Boys vampire movie with our kids yesterday, and it was funny how there were integral parts that we did not remember happening. So true. Yeah, it's like you did watch and consume it, yes, 100%. But also, too, there's also, one second, let me grab this first. There's that layer of you didn't have enough life experience to really process what you were watching the first time. So things might have went over your head because it just wasn't important, because it wasn't where you were at. It wasn't a focal point in your life. I can't tell you how many times I re-listened to a song and after having an experience that's in alignment with the theme of the song, it resonates so much more deeper for me. Where I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. Where in the beginning I might be like, this is such a sad song. I don't want to listen to this. But then I hear it again after living life and maybe experiencing some type of sadness. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that's what they were saying. Like that's just how the brain works. It's really just trying to figure out if you're safe or not. And safe as in like, are you gonna die in this exact moment? Is there anything that's going to take out your body? Once that is like, okay, no, we're good, it doesn't really care about the details. It's like, okay, whatever. Like, sure. Whatever floats your boat. That's not my business. My business is to make sure that you don't die. Once I've done that, say la vie. Whatever else you need me for, you'll let me know. But its main function, its default is always, I have to keep this body alive by any means necessary. So I have to sabotage you from not going to this experience or going to this place because I feel like it's unsafe for you and that we're going to die. I will sabotage you. I'll do it because I love you and I need us to be safe. That is how the brain is thinking. And once we respect that and understand it, life is a lot easier. Let me fix this. I have to put my charger in. Yes. We create narratives on the past. Look at the um large version of USA history. Yeah, like USA history in general is enough to tell you like the past is really up for interpretation because there are people that think that things have happened in a certain way where you're like, what? Or one thing I found out for myself, especially with Black history in general, as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh, this is not what they were about. Like, this is what they taught me in school was to pacify me into believing that this person like was cool with this. Or like when they say like um MLK Jr. gave up his life. It's like, no, he was assassinated. He was murdered. That he didn't say, here, take my life. He was killed. Like that again is up for interpretation in history. It's such a the brain is such a wild space to be in. And then you gotta realize that other people's brains are operating in some way, shape, or form very close to that. It feels very chaotic. Some folks feel safe calling police, others feel unsafe. Exactly. Exactly. Rachel with the movie New Experience. Okay. I think of safety as a physical issue. Okay, yes. It relates back to the body. Faith is a metaphysical function. It's the body and beyond. I love that. So I'm thinking matters of faith don't necessarily require safety because it's considering factors beyond what the physical issue is presenting. So I'm thinking that matters of faith don't necessarily require safety. Well, I feel like if we're thinking in that way, then we are separating the mind from the body and the spirit, and they work in conjunction with each other. So I feel like your body would need to feel some sense of safety. Your mind would as well for the spirit or the metaphysical to be able to do something because they work in conjunction with each other. Not they're not separate. At least how I perceive it, the mind, the body, and the spirit work together for the full human experience. So in my understanding, safety would be a requirement for faith. I think that they might either be either sisters or two sides of the same coin. They're definitely on the same spectrum. Maybe at the ends of each. Let's see. That's a rabbit hole, so I'll say that in the beginning. An artist's faith will always take us further than safety. Maybe that's what she means by an illusion. I'm working out. No, 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 no. I agree. For me, I had interpreted it as stagnancy, where like you're pretending that everything is copacetic because you've hit this wall that you've made for yourself to keep yourself quote unquote safe, but really you just kept yourself stagnant. I feel like she's misusing the word safety. That's how I interpreted it. What she's talking about is you're stagnant. It's like thinking that you're moving, but really you're just going back and forth. Like you're not making any real motion. You know what I'm saying? You're not moving forward, but you think that you are. And it's that illusion that is really expensive and a really shitty price to pay when it comes to your creativity. But when I think of feeling safe, safety requires a level of openness and vulnerability that would naturally propel me forward in whatever space it is that I'm in or whatever I'm experiencing. That's how I've come to understand it. But it definitely is a rabbit hole process. Like you could really just dig deep. Singing alone like a pool, singing on stage like an ocean. Exactly. Singing alone like singing in your vocal classes with like a coach that is listening in to help guide you. Like, oh, okay, let's bring you here. You're kind of off pitch here. That's not the right note. And then trusting yourself. Okay, Carla, hear me out. If we're using the analogy that Jack just gave us, singing alone, well, I said singing with a vocal coach, like a pool, and then singing on stage like an ocean. The singing alone, like a pool, would be the safety. Singing on stage like the ocean would be the faith. Thoughts. Thoughts. How do we feel about this? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay. Um, Muscle memory is so important. Yep. Rachel, the beach is not a pool at all. Your nervous system was shut down by the environment alone. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Hi, Raphael. There would need more. You would need more practice in order to be able to associate the act of I can swim no matter where I am, as opposed to I've learned how to swim in a pool. Because there's a separation between the pool and the ocean. It's like, oh shit, I can do this here, but I don't know if I can do that there. So that means that the act itself, you're not confident in yet. You got to build up a little bit more confidence. So, like Jack was saying, I can sing here with my vocal coach or alone and sound amazing because I'm not taking in a whole bunch of different information and energy and feedback. But if I'm on stage in this uncontrolled environment, do I actually have the skill set down pat? And I feel like the way to bridge that gap is through practice. And then at some point in time, you will have to take a risk to see if the practice is worth it, or if the practice has become muscle memory, not something you can intellectually understand, but actual muscle memory. That's that is super important because if you are a swimmer, right? Like you swim, or you're a singer. Let's go with singing because I feel like swimming because someone has had a traumatic experience. I don't want to hold in on that. You know what I'm saying? But you are a singer and you know you can sing, however that looks and feels like for you. You trust in your decision making on which notes to hit, when to take your breaths. You trust that with or without your vocal coach. You just know, like, I can sing and I sing really, really well. When you then go to a different environment that is not as controlled, it wouldn't matter because you know you can do this. It's like what makes Beyonce such a great performer. She can sing a lullaby to her kid at night and she can sing in front of like 80,000 people. Her thing is that I can sing. It doesn't matter where I'm singing, I can sing. That's where the confidence is rooted at. She feels safe in her skill set because the muscle memory is in the body of I know when to take these breaths, when to make these hit these notes, when to open the mouth, when to, allow my palate to become soft, when to, raise the cheeks. Like like the body's like, I will do it for you because I understand how to do this. I'm so good at this. It's memory for me. And then she can go to any environment, it doesn't matter. Does that make sense? Like the skill set the muscle memory will override how you're feeling? Definitely. Cause yesterday night when I wanted to go to sleep, I was so tired, y'all. I wanted to just pass out. Like I really wanted, like I wanted to so badly. And my muscle memory was like, now we brush our teeth. And now we take a shower. Now we wash our face. Now we braid our hair. And I'm just like, the whole time it's like I just want to go to sleep. But my muscle memory was like, girl, this is what you've been training me for. You don't want to do this. And I hear you, but babes, you need this because in the morning, you're going to feel good that these things are done. So I don't care that in this moment you don't want to do them. I hear you. Oh no, so sad. We're going to get them done. Then you're going to sleep. You'll have a better quality of sleep. That's what muscle memory provides us. It will do it when we don't want to. Uh, I want to make sure that this makes sense and that we're not going all over the place because I feel like maybe we might be, but also I'm like, this all does intertwine. So let me know. Okay. Yes. 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 I agree with Carla. Yes. For example, when John Brown of Deep Conviction of Delusion and you find textbooks with either, um, was that in reference to someone? Rachel, love how you. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It was. That was on me. Renting in place is very expensive. It is. Well, I'm a singer, so I will say yes. Carla. Yeah. 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 Okay. Okay. Cool. Oh, look at us all singing. I love this. I perform better than I practice. More rabbit holes. See, it's like this is what happens when artists get together. This is what happens when creators get together, y'all. We just be like, but actually, I wonder, and then it's this whole thing. But yes. Okay. That wasn't okay. Cool. I'm catching up. I always wonder how it feels rewatching, or re-listening to the lives, like, via the podcast, because like, people can't see the notes and the responses. I always feel like that's such a funny thing. Yes, Megan Thee Stallion said similar in a documentary on Netflix. It was such an amazing show. Yeah, her documentary was so good. So good. Thanks, Carla. Thanks, Jack Lotus. Conversation's helpful. Yay, Rachel. So I think you're right that safety and faith exist on a continuum. Okay. Because I practice to become proficient enough that if my body knows what to do, if my knows what to do if my conscious mind doesn't. Exactly. Right. Because if you have muscle memory, when you get on stage and you immediately experience stage fright, the muscle memory should kick into action once the beat drops. Like, even if you are terrified, like, if you have become really proficient and, like, you understand and you really identify as a singer, even if you get that that moment of, "What? There's a lot of people looking at me," your muscle memory should kick in once the beat drops or once you hear those first notes, and it will naturally get you to sing whether you want it to or not. That's where I feel like there's safety in knowing that my muscle memory will carry me, but then also having the faith that the muscle memory will kick in, 'cause it also could not just kick in that moment, 'cause it could be such a traumatizing experience, right? Um, yes, which says something spiritual practice and embodied practice versus mind over matter. Dang, this is so good. Yeah, yeah, the rabbit hole takes us to Wonderland, so yeah, exactly, Rachel. Yes. Yes, John Brown led slave revolt, Harper's Ferry, Virginia. He was an abolitionist, son of an abolitionist, but often portrayed as a psychotic. Interesting. See, I don't know about John Brown. Yeah, I have to learn. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I feel like we can agree safety and faith are on a continuum, for sure. And how that looks and presents, I think, is fairly unique to the person and the skill set and the environment. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Okay. All right. Let me finish this essay. In order to risk, we must accept our limits. That's interesting. We must break through the I can't because, okay, I see what she means. Because I am too old, too broke, too shy, too proud, self defended. Usually, when we say we can't do something, what we mean is that we won't do something unless we can guarantee that we'll do it perfectly. Working artists know the folly of the stance. There is a common joke amongst directors. Oh yeah, I always know exactly how I should direct a picture after I'm done directing it. As Black artists, we unrealistically expect and demand success from others and recognition of that success from others. With that as an unspoken demand, a great many things remain outside our sphere of possibility. As actors, we tend to allow ourselves to be typecast rather than working to expand our range. As singers, that's so crazy they brought it up. We stay married to our safe material. I'm going to say familiar material. As songwriters, we try to repeat a formula hit. In this way, artists who do not appear blocked to the outside eye experience themselves as blocked internally, unable to take the risk of moving into new or more satisfying artistic territories. Once we are willing to accept that anything worth doing might even be worth doing badly, our options widen. If I didn't have to do this perfectly, I would try fill in the blank. She gave some examples like archery, being platinum blonde, water ballet, learning to shoot a video. Essentially, it's the if you win, you win, and if you lose, you win. It's always that way when taking risks. To put it differently, when to put it differently, very often a risk is worth taking simply for the sake of taking it. There's something enlivening and expanding our self definition, and a risk does exactly that. Selecting a challenge and meeting it creates a sense of self empowerment that becomes the ground for further successful challenges. Reviewed this way, running a marathon increases your chances of writing a full length play. Writing a full length play increases your chances of getting a leg up on a marathon. So essentially, she's saying everything is intertwined. So you doing something in one area of your life and taking a risk there will naturally benefit you somewhere else. I also put in that when it comes to artistry, capitalism plays a very huge role and us being able to feel safe enough to take risks. Because when your livelihood is directly tied to your artistry or your craft, you are going to try to take as many calculated risks as possible because you don't, hey, creative economy. Hi, Yolanda. Because you don't want to mess up your bag because now your money is funding your life, right? Your luxuries, probably taking care of your family and other things, affording you access to spaces you didn't have. That is going to make you take calculated risks. And that's something I wanted to bring to the forefront because she doesn't really ever talk about that, about how capitalism influences artistry. But I feel like true artists understand it's going to take a risk and that it might flop and that people might hate it and that it could directly impact their livelihood. But the desire and the need to share their art in the way that they're feeling the need to overrides that. And then there are other people who may be good at singing, dancing, whatever the case is, and they have made a good amount of money and fame for themselves, the stability, and it is not worth that risk. And those people tend to become a bit more cornier as they get older and more well known. Where it's kind of like, I expect you to do this because this is what you always do. Like you don't really do anything new or different. That is due to capitalism, and an unhealthy ego. But that foundation is because I don't want to lose my money and my livelihood because I want to venture out and do something different. That risk may not be worth the reward for them. And sometimes it is. Okay. Okay. We finished the third essay. So we have jealousy and then we're going to do our EFT session. Let me know how you guys are feeling. I'm so excited. We'll definitely be wrapping up by like 2:30, the latest. But man, this is like such a exactly. And the thing is, with Cowboy Carter, she wasn't really taking a risk. People assumed it that way, which I think is so interesting because she grew up on country music. Like she's from Texas. She's from Houston, Texas. Like she grew up on country. This was not the risk that people assumed that it was. You know, she just was finally expressing a part of herself that was literally always there and actually woven into her music. You can hear that influence of country music in a lot of her earlier projects. It's just that society said you are a black young woman, so you're gonna sing R&B. Like that's all we can process. We can't process you doing anything else, girl. Like we can't. We're just not gonna do that. So we're giving you, we might give you a little bit of pop, but not too much pop because what? Like you're black. Please, no. Like, please stay in your lane. That is the energy, and that happens a lot, unfortunately, with black creators, where we are, like this happened to Scissor a lot, where she is forced into R&B because she's a black woman, even though she is clearly in the alternative genre of music, like alt rock, alt indie. Like she's not an R&B artist, but because she is black, they automatically put her there. That comes too. That societal perception. Like Beyonce doing a country album really does make a lot of sense when we think about it. Like it just makes sense. She is a Southern woman. Like, like maybe if she was like from Detroit or like, New York City, maybe it'd be like, girl, how did we get to country? But her living in the deep South and growing up, I'm not sure what we were expecting, what was shaping her musically. Like it would be country music. And so it's so interesting to me. But yeah, like people taking those type of risks. And sometimes they do pay off. So for people that are perceiving Cowboy Carter as a risk because of our own limitations on how we view artistry, it paid off, right? And ended up doing numbers and being an incredible body of work that outsold pretty much all other country artists, with maybe the exception of Dolly Parton, but she was already co-signed by Dolly, so that doesn't really matter, right? To the point where they have to create a new category at the Grammys and in country music, which they've never done, like, I don't even know how many years, simply because a black woman decided to, quote unquote, venture out the norm. But that risk paid off. It paved ways for a lot of other young Black women country artists to come up and start saying like, "This is what we've been doing this. Like we exist." Beyonce is the biggest name to do it, but she's definitely not the first. The same argument goes for like rock and roll. These are things that people consider. It's like this is a risk if you're going down rock, and it's like actually Black folks made rock and roll. Like this is not a risk for us, but it can feel like a risk to the outside world, right? Right, Jack. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh no. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Yeah, yeah. Oh no. Sorry, guys. Something's happening. I can't see all your notes. Yes, okay. Carla. Capitalism. Please, whenever you're ready, phone. I just want to see their notes. There we go. Is based on scarcity. Yep. So it's very hard to sustain creativity within it unless you're already privileged. Agree. And how you sustain it is by doing the same exact thing over and over and over again. And it's just like, it's not, to me, that's not creative anymore. I don't think that you would no longer identify as an artist because where's the freshness, you know? Rachel, sounds like flow to me. If you're operating in it, then abundance will come. I think that capitalism hesitation is what separates artists as well. Agreed, 100%. She was Beyonce already, so not exactly, exactly. I like that frame point too. She was already this mega superstar, so her doing a different genre doesn't really matter either because it's like it's Beyonce. Beyonce has such a loyal fan base. She could do techno tomorrow and it will be a pop. It would work. Like people just love Beyonce. We don't care what the girl's singing. We just love her. You know? Yeah, people did project on her. Yep, yep, yep. Agreed. Um, Francis Ford Coppola just sold one of his islands because his last movie was a flop. It's just also too like, why do you own an island, babes? Uh, okay, we don't feel like that's a lot. Like, what a mismanagement of money. Like, you could really be. I digress. Okay, the socialist in me is coming out. Okay, Black woman, yep, society says R&B only. Yep, exactly. I've always referenced early Oprah when she started talking and sharing woo-woo on her show. That was a risk. It was considered a risk, right? But when you think about the history of Black women, it's really not. Like, we've always talked like this. We've always said, girl, I had a dream about you the other night, let me tell you, right? Or like, there are so many sayings that are rooted in that woo-woo-esque energy that it's like, it's actually not. And that's why it also did so well for her when she started doing that. She was able to pitch into like Super Soul Sunday and things like that because we were already there. Her people, her audience, Black women for the most part, not all of us, of course, because we're not a monolith, but a lot of us had already been operating in that spiritual authority, in that conjuring hoodoo-esque type of mindset where it's like, no, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. You're just putting maybe a different vocabulary to the experience that I'm having, but like this adds up. So yeah, I was watching the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony, and this always reminds me of the calculated risk of many artists. Exactly, Jack, because Beyonce is an individual woman with unique context. But if folks don't look a little deep, then yeah, people automatically just assume like she's a rapper's wife. So like, why would she know about country music? It's like the girl existed before she was married to this man. You know what I mean? Like, this is when media literacy is super important. And I find that I will not argue with people who I can realize and see are not tuned in. It's just not necessary. It's just like you got it. Like, oh, Black people don't belong in country? Sure. Like, hmm, okay. Because now I know you don't understand the history of what you're even talking about. You don't understand history. How would you understand what's happening right now? Like, you sound lost. And it sounds like you wanna be lost and you don't want directions. I'm not about to take my time out to help guide you somewhere you don't wanna be. That make no sense. Yeah. There's a whole study about this called Feminist Black Geographies, the ways in which Black women's bodies and labor transform spaces they are also erased by due to race and gender. Please, Carla, if you can send that in the group chat, I would really appreciate that. Chat keeps being weird for me. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the chat. It keeps like turning on and off. I don't know. Yes, we've always been dreaming. She just created a platform for it. Exactly. Yep. Like the book Conjuring America. Exactly. Yeah. What you find the more you dig in history is that the more that you notice that Black people, in particular Black women, have been very foundational to a lot of things. Like a lot of things. Like a lot of things. Waste of time. Yep, exactly. They are lost, but maybe someone will send a search party. Maybe. I don't think I'm that search party though. Like probably for sure. Love that for them. It will not be. It won't be me. Like unless I get explicit orders from source, and I mean like very explicit, I'm not doing it. I realize that even though I'm a teacher, I'm not everyone's teacher. And that is something I have to remind myself all the time. Can I teach you this? Yes. Am I the teacher for you? Maybe. Maybe not. Right. All right, let's get into jealousy really quickly so we can finish in on time. It's really a short page. So, jealousy, I've often heard, is a normal human emotion. I don't personally agree with that, but I digress for the sake of time. When I hear that, I think maybe your jealousy, not mine. My jealousy roars in the head, tightens the chest, massages my stomach lining with a cold fist, and it searches out the best grip. This sounds horrifying. I have long regarded jealousy as my greatest weakness. Only recently have I seen it for the tough love friend that it is. Jealousy is a map. Each of our jealous maps differ. Each of us will probably be surprised by some of the things we discover on our own. I, for example, I have never been eaten alive with resentment, okay, over the success of other women novelists. Same. Yeah. But I took an unhealthy interest in the fortunes and misfortunes of women playwrights. I was their harshest critic until I wrote my first play. With that action, my jealousy vanished, replaced by a feeling of camaraderie. My jealousy had actually been a mask for my fear of doing something I really wanted to do, but was not yet brave enough to take action towards. Jealousy is always a mask for fear, fear that we aren't able, frustration that somebody else seems to be getting what is rightfully ours, even if we are too frightened to reach for it. And at its root, jealousy is a stingy emotion. It doesn't allow for the abundance and um, it doesn't allow for the abundance of the universe. Jealousy tells us there is room for only one poet, one painter, one whatever you dream of being. The truth revealed by action is in the direction of our dreams is that there is room for all of us. But jealousy produces tunnel vision. It narrows our ability to see things in perspective. It strips us of our ability to see other opinions and options. The biggest lie is that jealousy tells us that we have no choice but to be jealous. Perversely, jealousy strips us of our will to act when action holds the key to our freedom. Okay. And then she gives like this example of this exercise that I'll put in the free notes of like who is it that you're jealous of, why, and an action to fix the antidote. I feel like I don't really experience jealousy a lot. So this was like a really um it was a very like I kind of struggle with how to break down this essay for you guys because I do understand that just because I'm not experiencing jealousy does not mean that people are not experiencing jealousy. You know what I'm saying? Like that is a very real thing. But I do agree with the sense that all of our emotions are guides. All the things that we're feeling, they are guiding us or redirecting us to somewhere, some person, some environment. And it's really important that we remember that. Because if we don't know that we're supposed to be going somewhere with this thing, we just sit with it and we let it suffocate us or we suffocate it until it becomes something nastier. And with jealousy, I guess I can break it down like this. So when I was younger, I had this teacher. that gave me this really good example one day, and I was just like, it has stuck with me ever since. And I feel like that probably is why I don't have a lot of experiences with jealousy. And if I did, it was probably when I was like a child. But I'm like, children are feeling all the emotions all the time. That adds up. That makes sense. But they were essentially saying that if you see someone that has something that you want, instead of feeling jealousy, you should feel joyful because what universe source is saying is that it's in your area. If you're able to see someone that you know has what you want or someone you identify with has this thing that you want, really and truly, universe is saying, boom, this is in your area. It's coming to you. Do you like it like this? We miss that opportunity to refine our desires when we are jealous. If we let jealousy just be like, take us wherever, we're going to miss that opportunity to refine. Once we realize that we're being jealous, it's usually because it's this person has something that we want. Boom, I now realize that I no longer need to be jealous. Again, emotions last 90 seconds in the body. Anything after that is us doing too much. It's just to get my attention that I actually wish or I want to be doing this thing. I haven't been putting enough time into having this skill set. Jealousy is telling me, hey, I thought you said you wanted this. You wanted this right here, right? So, like, are you doing what needs to be done to get it? Because it seems like you're not, because I'm here. Like, I'm just reminding you that this is what you wanted. I'm out. That should be the dynamic with jealousy. It shouldn't be this like, yeah, like let's keep going. Let's hate on them. That's where it's just you've overstayed your welcome. Jealousy has overstayed their welcome with that, right? We really don't want to lean into that type of understanding or moving forward like that because it's just very ugly. But when you can look at it as joy of like, wow, this thing is on its way to me because not only it was in my mind's eye, I was thinking about it. I saw it like with this famous person, but like now my homegirl is doing this thing. Like, oh, snap, you know? Or even if it's like my arch nemesis that I know y'all still connected energetically. Like it's in your wheelhouse, it's in your arena. Now, is this exactly what you want, or do you want to refine it? It might be like, oh, I really love this thing, but I actually want to like this. Or maybe I want to get it on Tuesdays instead of Wednesdays. Like you get to redefine it, and that brings you back to that space of joy. Because then it's like, dang, I'm so happy that you got that. Because now I'm like, I actually don't want that. Who would have guessed? Now that I've seen you have this thing, I don't really want it. Or I see you have it, I realize I need it like this. It should really jealousy should lead you to inspiration at some point. If it's causing you to really hate other people or to tear down other folks, it probably overstayed its welcome. And you probably need to peel it back a bit. Yeah. Here we go. Okay, thank you for the author. I need to screenshot it, but I can't because of how the tripod is. Does anybody mind screenshotting what Carla wrote so that I can have it for later? Um, that's fine. We miss the opportunity to refine our desires when we're being jealous. Yeah, no, we really do. We really, really do. That's why I don't experience as much. I'm just like, oh, okay, shit, you got that's amazing. Like, oh my god. First of all, I get so excited. Like I'm a person you can share your wins with because there's not a jealous bone in my body. I'm just like, oh my god, yes, oh, I love this for you. Because sometimes it's just like, this is amazing, and I'm so honored that you want to come to me and share this great news. First and foremost, like thank you for realizing I have good energy. Like, I love that. Yes, let's celebrate you. This is freaking dope. And if I realize, like, oh, I also would love to have an experience like that. Oh, am I doing what I need to do? Like, oh, maybe I need to start refocusing on this. You know what I mean? I think one of my girlfriends had like a singing showcase, and that's when I realized, like, oh, I actually do want to sing again. It wasn't this thing of like, oh, she has a singing showcase and people are applauding her. And like, no, I was like, I was probably the loudest one there. Okay. Cause I support my girls down. I don't play that. And then afterwards, I was like, "Oh, I really wanna do this. I'm I miss this. Okay, cool. What's the next steps?" It shouldn't be crazy, y'all. I thought this was envy. And jealousy is the fear of someone taking something from you. That's very interesting. That is not actually describes it here, but for me, envy and jealousy are gang gang. They're locked in. They're one and the same. I struggle with jealousy when I think someone is doing it wrong. See, for me, if I feel like someone is doing something wrong, I get annoyed. I'm annoyed. I'm just like, because for me, I'm immediately thinking about everyone that's consuming this, and I feel like it's incorrect. There are some books where I'm reading, I'm like, you have this huge platform and you're choosing to propel microaggressions and stereotypes when we could be breaking the glass ceiling for us. Like that, I'll probably like kind of tweak, but it's not a sense of jealousy. It's irritation. I'm irritated because it's just like, wow. But then again, after I feel that, what would I do if I had that platform? How can I ensure that when I'm giving information or when I'm sharing my art, that it's in alignment with my integrity, with what I believe should be shared with the world? That's just an invitation to come back. All of these discomforting feelings like jealousy, envy, things like that, they're an invitation to make sure like, are you in alignment? Like, are you in alignment? If you are, then that situation will sort itself out. The person that you feel is doing it wrong, it's gonna figure itself out. It always does. That may not be for you to do. You may have been witnessing that to simply say, hey, are you good? Are you in alignment? As we move forward in this thing, ensure that you won't be doing that. And that might have been that lesson and experience that you need to have, right? Like I said, thank you. Yeah, please do. That'd be amazing, Carla. Thank you. Jack, Google says envy is based on desire and wanting what you lack, while jealousy is based on fear of loss and protecting what you possess. It's giving twin sisters. They may not be what is the one, they're not identical, but they're like fraternal twins. Like they're still twins, like they're still related, but they're not identical. But yeah, that makes sense to me. Yes, when I feel like it's incorrect, I just want to snatch it from them and put them on timeout. Yeah, I get like that too, Carla. I'm just like, girl, why would you do this? Why would you? Okay, I know that I don't want to do this. I know that I don't want to present my art this way. Noted. Got it. Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. So we were able to get through all of the essays. I love this for us. We're going to do a quick EFT session. And then, just so you guys know, for the free notes, I have been doing a little less because I just tend to go so in depth, y'all. Sometimes it gets so intense. And I have to remind myself, like, girl, you have other things that you are writing. Like, please, you have other things you're writing, girl. You cannot be doing this all the time. So the free notes are just really going to go over the basics, the bare necessities, and you'll have both of the main exercises along with the tasks that were labeled in the book and the check-in questions. So you can always go back there for that. The AP notes, the after party notes, that's where I will dive in deep and share all of my deeper thoughts, including the creative chakra code, and how that looks. It just is a lot. It's easier for me to be able to keep up with because the more that I go in depth on free notes and AP notes, the longer it takes for me to publish them. And I want you guys to have enough time to actually be able to review them before our upcoming session. So that's what I came to understand for myself. So I want to put that out there so you guys know. Okay? Because, Lord, please, I beg. All right. EFT. Our flow we're going to do today, side of hand, top of head, brow, side of eye, under nose, chin, collarbone, heart, underarm. You don't have to remember any of this. I'm just saying it for those that need to know what the flow is ahead of time. You just have to watch me and you'll be fine. Okay? We're going to do a negative round, a positive round. Negative round are going to be statements that you may have said to yourself or someone may have said to you that make you feel less than or kind of trigger you in a certain way. And then I just realized this is done. And then we have our positive round where we're going to be filling in that space that we've cultivated. And it's going to allow us to feel more empowered and connected to the divine truth of this theme, which is that we are instruments. We're divine instruments that are here to share stories, to share art that is already created by source. We just are going to share from our perspective. Okay. If you've never tapped before, do not worry. You can either use light tapping on the pressure points, you can pulse, you can rub, hover, or you can envision it, whatever feels best for you. If you're someone who's highly sensitive, I suggest hovering or envisioning so you don't overstimulate your energetic system. Okay. And if you notice that you are belching or yawning or your temperature increases or decreases, that is just a response to the energy moving in the body. If you feel like nothing has changed, you're not feeling any shifts in the body, it's an invitation for you to get to know your body a bit more intimately and to tap more often so you can begin to feel those subtle changes. Okay. All right. I want to take a nice sip of water. I'm drinking tea, but water before we begin. Cheers. Okay. Let's begin. This negative round is releasing pressure and fear. I'm gonna start the side of hand. Take a nice deep inhale, lightly tap, pulse, rub, hover, or envision. Another deep inhale, breathing into lower belly, expanding into the heart space, exhaling through the mouth. And I want you to repeat after me because your voice is your own medicine, okay? Even though a part of me still believes I have to create everything on my own from scratch with no support, I honor the truth that this belief is really heavy on my spirit. Top of head. I release the idea that I have to build something out of nothing to be worthy. Brow. I feel all this pressure to be perfect even before I begin. Excuse me, sorry, side of the eye. It feels scary to take risks, especially when my body remembers danger. Under the nose. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, under the eye. My things are wrong. Under the eye. Sometimes the messiness of creativity feels unsafe. Under the nose. And I'm not judging myself for feeling that anymore. Chin. Then there's that belief that if it isn't perfect, it isn't valuable. Collarbone. And I want to release the idea that risk equals danger and that safety disappears the moment I try something new. Heart. And then jealousy rises in me. And I feel shame about it. Like I care too much. Under the arm. Jealousy makes me feel like I'm wrong or behind. And really, it means that it's for me too, but that feels weird because if it was for me, wouldn't I have it? Wouldn't it be mine? Or is it already mine? I want you to drop your hand by your side. Take a nice deep inhale, breathing into lower belly, allowing that air to rise up into the chest. Slow, open mouth exhale, release, soften the shoulders, unclench the jaw, drop your tongue from over your mouth. Really melt into the moment. We just addressed some really heavy things around jealousy, around shame, around perfectionism. And now we're going to use our positive round to recalibrate. Those things may have been true at one point in time. We may have been told these things, but now, baby, we're moving on up. Okay? We're moving forward. We're opening to alignment, to play, and to redirection. All right? Let's tap. Deep inhale, slow exhale, and repeat after me. I allow myself to remember that creativity flows through me, not just from me, and I can relax into that truth. Top of the head. I choose to listen for the divine nudges that are always trying to reach me. Brow. I care for my body and my spirit and my mind so I can actually hear what's meant for me. Side of eye. I can create from a place of play and not perfection. Under the eye. From a place of pleasure and not pressure. Under the nose. Progress becomes easier when I stop performing and start participating in my own life. Chin. I release the need to guarantee perfection before taking the first step. Collarbone. I choose to take risks with gentleness, curiosity, and a little bit of adventure. Heart. I let jealousy become a quiet redirection to joy rather than a punishment or a comparison trap. Under the arm. I trust that what is meant for me is already mine, already calling my name, and I trust that I am brave enough to follow it right now. I want you to place your hands over your heart space. Take a nice deep inhale, breathing in. Slow exhale, letting go. Bring a smile to your face if you can. And just centering yourself in that truth. That from this moment forward, you're going to move in a space of bravery. Trusting that what is for you already is yours. That you have the skill set, the resources to share your art. And that you don't have to worry about anyone else's journey because yours is so amazing, so joy-filled, so fun and exciting and pleasurable. And that you have the capacity to experience and receive that level of pleasure and joy in your life. So you don't have to look somewhere else and compare yourself because you are uncomparable. Nice deep inhale, breathing in. Slow exhale, letting go. You can drop your hands to your side, come back to the space with me. Go ahead and drink some water or your tea. Hello, hello, everyone. Okay, that was week 7. We did it, y'all. Oh my gosh, we're on week 8 next week. Like, we're doing so good. We're doing so well. I love this for us. Week 8, recovering a sense of strength. We'll cross that road when we need to. But what'll happen this week is that you'll see the free notes. My intention is to get the free notes up on Monday so that the paid notes for the after party notes are available by Tuesday. Send your blessings, send your prayers to me, please and thank you. That would be, like, really, really, really appreciated. Let's do that together so you guys can have that. And then, yeah, we'll be doing week 8 next week, which is so amazing. We're almost done, which means that by the time we finish, it will be a new season. For me, it'll be winter. I'm not sure where everyone else is located, but you'll either be experiencing winter or summer. Okay. So yay to us. I love you so much for spending this time with me. Thank you for being a part of this journey. And I cannot wait to see you all in the comments for the paid notes. The notes for last week are up. So please go check them out. Rewatch the replay. Share it with someone you love. Share what you've learned from this. This is the intention is to bring more people in so that we can continue having the dialogue that we had today. Like being able to bounce ideas off of you all is so important to me as an artist as well. Yes, I'm holding the space to like share the information, but I do look at you all as creative peers and to be able to get foresight or glimpses into how you process life is really a gift to me. And I hope to be able to do that with more and more people. So thank you for that. This is a side note for anyone. I am officially in the running to become Maxim Magazine's next natural beauty. And it's very exciting. I need to actually send out my email to everybody because, yeah. But if you are able to check out my Instagram, which is my same name at Lotus Aloba, there's a link in there that you can click. It's absolutely free to do. It takes like less than 2 minutes. And it helps me to do that because that would be such a fun experience to have. I was very honored to be selected. And yeah, I'm like very close to becoming a finalist, which is really cool. So if you guys can do that, that'd be wonderful. If not, no worries. Check out the information I gave you in the Substack, and I will see you next week. Okay. Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you, Sia. Thank you, Jack. Carla, thank you so much for your wisdom, your brilliance. Thank you, everyone who came. I appreciate you all. Yes, love these sessions, Lotus. Thank you for doing this. It's just all, oh, yay! It feels good for me too as a creative, as an artist. It's nice to just know that I'm not alone, you know? So thank you. I love you, and I'll see you next week.